Good evening, fam. Twisted Beard, GoodMoFos R5, here with you for our next tutorial. Been an exceedingly busy summer on my part, busiest one in many a year, so I've been running hither and yon since the end of April, so you'll all have to please forgive the lapse in the regular videos. Been a bummer for me, as I was hoping to keep them coming once or twice a week, but as you all know, life will take over sometimes, and we have to listen to the call when it beckons for us. So yeah, been a super busy summer for me. A good one, quite a good one, just very busy. But thankfully, we're getting to the point in the year now where things are starting to calm down a bit, and I'm becoming somewhat more stationary. So that's allowing me to get online tonight and knock out this next video for everybody, which is long overdue. And I'm excited to be back. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank everybody who has sent me some messages over the last month encouraging the next round of videos to get up and out for everyone. I really appreciate the positive feedback. It's been exceedingly kind and certainly motivating for me, and most appreciated, and happen to be back and hope you enjoy this one. So with no further ado, let's jump right in. This is going to be somewhat of a brief video, but I hope you will find it helpful, and I'll be back with some more in-depth ones sooner versus later as well. But as they just released a new tech, I wanted to get out right away and assess this tech with all of you and see if it's something we should be chasing on the front burner or leaving on the back burner, yeah, looking at it together with you. So the new tech is called Solid Tactics. I believe it was just released after reset today itself. We are on the gathering day, just post X25, to give you an idea of when this video is being made. So just concluding X25, getting ready to wrap up gathering day, and looking at Solid Tactics. So let's jump in. Solid Tactics. They have categorized this as X1. Not that that really matters, but just for conversation's sake. I did take a brief look at this tech before starting the video. Not an in-depth look, but a brief one. And in the assessment I gave it earlier, I feel summed up that this is a solid new tech. Not a lot of frills to it. I didn't see anything that was a standout, kind of special, oh my god, gotta have it tech, though there were some buffs to training speed down the line, which is certainly helpful. But it just seems like it's a really solid kind of meat and potatoes type of tech. No frills, no fancy stuff, just a lot of attack and defense power. Big on tactical from my first once over of it. There are some hit point increases in there, and yeah, let's just take a look and go through the whole thing here real quick. So Solid Tactics, first skill, goes up to level 20. As we can see, this first skill only takes 710 war badges, so it doesn't seem that this particular tech is going to be exceedingly onerous in terms of the amount of war badges that it is consuming. It is a war badges tree versus a courage medals tree or anything else. And yeah, only 710 for the first level of the first tech, so that bodes well as far as it not being too over-the-top expensive of a tree on the whole. So 20 levels, and as we can see, this one is jumping at levels of 0.5%. So after 20 increases, that's going to be a 10% overall increase. First 10 levels are going to bring it up 5%. Second 10 levels are going to bring it up another 5%, so that's a total of 10%. So increase troops' tactical might in siege defense by 10%. By the time everything's said and done on this is going to be pretty solid. As we discussed in previous tech videos, anytime, and if you haven't watched our primary video on tech yet, I would really encourage you to jump back and take a few minutes to watch that now and gain some insight on the concept of tech on the whole and a broader understanding of tech on the whole. But as we discussed there, the tactical skills are quite beneficial. So anytime we can see tactical might, tactical defense increases, these are things we want to be chasing. Now granted, this is somewhat specific in that it's in siege defense, so this tactical might increase is only going to happen during siege defense, but that's an often enough scenario, and certainly something that's going to be helpful. So 0.5% increases, 20 levels, that's going to be a 10% jump overall. Not too bad as far as the wisdom or war badges cost goes. Second set of skills, footman resistance in non-siege battles increases. So non-siege battles are essentially tile wars in Eden, and as we know, the majority of the fighting that does happen in Eden is on tiles versus on castles. So non-siege buffs, whether it's defense or attack or tactical or whatever the case may be, are always going to be particularly helpful, in Eden in particular. And we all know how important Eden is for the overall totality of the game. So non-siege benefits, perks are certainly great. They also, it's just a side note, not important, but when you have a heroes duel, non-siege stats do affect each of the heroes duel battles as well too. Not your siege defense, not your siege attack, but your non-siege stats are what will come into play during the heroes duel as well. So again, it is a 0.5% increase. This is only 10 levels, so that's going to be a 5% increase at the end. It's going to be cavalry, archers, and footies across that first level there. And then we're getting into increased footman siege might, and again, 0.5% jump, 1.4k war badges. That's not, again, too terribly expensive. So this tech, again, is not looking like it's no faithful guard in terms of how much it's costing you. So you should be able to proceed through it relatively quickly. So siege might, of course, is going to be helpful. Next, after that, we have oddly useful tactics. Increase troops' tactical might in non-siege battles, 20 levels for a 0.5% increase. That's going to give us a 10% overall tactical might jump in non-siege battles, which is tile wars. So that is exceedingly important, exceedingly helpful, one that we want to chase. I wouldn't call it a special skill, so to speak, but it is a very strong one, and certainly worthwhile in terms of trying to grab that 10% tactical might increase for your non-siege battles. So that's very good. After oddly useful tactics, we have footman's defense line or barricade-like cavalry, archer's rear defense. They're all going to be the same, just for the different troop types. So increase footman siege resistance, 0.5%, 10 levels. That's going to be a 5% increase, 1.6k war badges, so not terribly expensive. Right below that, we have footman siege defense might. Pardon the cars leaving. Yeah. So, footman siege defense might increased 0.5%, 10 levels, so that's going to be a 5% increase there. And again, only 1.6k war badges, so not terribly expensive. Moving forward down the tree. Siege resistance and siege defense might on those two right there for all three unit types. Then we get into siege stratagem, 20 levels, increase troops' tactical might in siege attacks. So a siege attack, of course, is any time that you're going to hit a castle. It is tactical again, tactical being exceedingly important, tactical might being more important than regular might, because tactical is your skills, and skills are what deal the most damage versus, say, physical damage the vast majority of the time for the vast majority of heroes. So 20 levels, 0.5% increase, that's going to be a 10% overall increase in troops' tactical might in siege attacks, and that's going to be, juicy. That's something you want. That's something that's really going to help when you're hitting castles, whether it's in BOH or Eden or KE or whatever the case may be. So a good, again, just kind of meat and potatoes type of improvements to your hero's overall capacity with this tree. After siege stratagem, we've got wall top guards, 10 levels, 0.5% increase, so that's going to be a 5% net increase. Footmen siege defense might, so that's going to be the same for cavalry and archers across the top, so siege defense up by 5%. Below that, we have footmen's might in non-siege battle increases. So again, that's going to be tile wars. A 0.5% increase for 10 levels is going to net 5%. Non-siege battles, again, that's where most of your fighting is going to happen in Eden. So I like non-siege statistical improvements generally even better than siege and siege defense, just because, in Eden, that's where most of the battles happen, and for me, most of my battles happen in Eden, so that's where I get the most bang for my buck as far as benefits to my legions go. So non-siege increases are always great. After that, we've got fully manned army. When the squad's troop power is above 90%, damage mitigation increases. So that's going to be really helpful too. Anytime you can mitigate damage, anytime you can heal, that's just going to make you that much tougher to kill. And basically this means when the squad's troop power is above 90%, damage mitigation increases. That means in the earliest stages of the battle, your heroes are going to have better mitigation, holding their hit points higher, and thus keeping that skill intact longer for them. But essentially it's just going to make you a lot more difficult to kill. Damage is a powerful skill, and damage mitigation certainly is exceedingly helpful as well too. Damage mitigation and healing are really quite clutch. So we've got 20 levels here at a 0.25% increase. So at the end, that's going to get us up 5%. So when the squad's troop power is above 90%, damage mitigation will be increased by 5%. That's going to be nice. After that, we've got increased footman might and increased footman resistance, 10 levels, that's going to be 5% each. We are now up to 4K war badges, so it is starting to get a little more expensive, but not over the top unreasonable. It's going to be the same here for cavalry and then archers in terms of might, and then resistance increases. Just below that, we have insightful reinforcement. All units' tactical resistance increases. Well, that's a wonderful skill. 20 levels, 0.5% increase. That's going to be a 10% increase. It is broad, so all units' tactical resistance increases. That means tactical resistance in all scenarios. So whether it's a castle siege, whether it's castle siege defense, whether it's non-siege combat, you are always going to get that tactical resistance increase, whether it's footmen, whether it's cavalry, whether it's archers, in any given scenario. So that's really quite a huge skill. 10% is nothing to shake a stick at, and such broad application is quite uncommon. So that is a very, very, very good skill. At 4.5, 5K to start it off, it's not cheap, but it's not horrible, and it's certainly worth it. So insightful reinforcements looking real good. After that, Looks like we've got skills for all 3 unit types. This is where it increases training speed for footmen, cavalry, and archers. Increasing training speed may be the best skill in here as it's the rarest, and we need to increase our training speed so that we can increase our S troops and the new types of troops that have just come out, the Terminators and whatnot. Because going forward, it's going to be all about S troops in Eden. Maybe not quite this season, X26 coming, but certainly by X27, many of the players are going to be using S troops as they are enhanced T9. Right now, it's going to be the commonly used troop, and those players that are going to have the most troops to work with are going to be the ones that have the best training speed buffs by and large. So get that training speed buff. That's really important. So training speed for all 3 unit types, 10 levels, 1% increase at each level. So that's going to be a 10% increase on training speed for all 3 unit types. That's huge. 10% increase is pretty huge. So chase that. Definitely chase that. You're going to want that. It's going to be a major long-term benefit for you to have those training speed increases. So footman's quick drill, cavalry's quick drill, archer's quick drill. After that, again, it's going to be the same for all 3 unit types. Resistance increase. It's a full 1% increase. Whenever the increase is 1%, that's essentially the best that it gets. The lowest you're typically going to see is 0.25%. The average, the usual you're going to see is 0.5%. And then sometimes, like in Dragon's Blood Blessing, you are going to see that 0.8% increase on each level. But this is a full 1% increase on each level. That is uncommon. That is clutch. That's big. So 1% increase on resistance for all 3 unit types there, and then a 1% increase on might for all 3 unit types there. And note again that this is just broad application of might for each unit type. So it's going to be there for siege, it's going to be there for siege defense, going to be there for tile wars. So whenever you have something that broad, it's certainly that much more helpful than if it was something very specific. So broad is good, and this is broad and it's 1%, so that's going to be a full 10% increase again for might for all 3 unit types. After that, we've got tough-minded soldier. I think this is where the HP comes in. Yep, and it is a full 1% increase. It is starting to get expensive now in that it's 10k war badges, but keep in mind we're getting towards the very end of the tree, and it is a full 1% jump. So 10 levels, that's going to be 10% HP. It is for all units in all scenarios, so all your troops, whatever they're doing all the time, are going to get a 10% HP increase. That's clutch, that's key, that's big. So we certainly want to be chasing that one as well. I mean, that's as hearty, healthy meat and potatoes as one is like to find. Right there, a 10% HP jump is very good. So especially in such broad application. So after tough-minded soldier, we are down to footman's intense training. It's going to be the same for archer and cavalry. That is going to lower the cost of training T10s. Helpful, but not as key as the training speed increase. Speed ups are much more valuable than, food and rock at this point in the game for most of us. So, not as good as the training speed, but, lowering the cost is certainly helpful as well. And it is going to be a full 1% jump, 10 levels for a full 10% reduction on the cost for all 3 troop types. Lastly, footman deals more damage. 0.5% increase, 10 levels, as we went over in the broad tech video of the different Legion attributes. None of them are more important than damage. So damage is the most important statistic combat stat for your legions out of, damage and HP and tactical and might and combat speed, all that stuff. So, and it's the hardest to come by as well too. So this is going to be a 5% jump to your damage for all 3 unit types. That again is going to be hugely helpful, and is a good reason to get the end of this tech tree done, to get that extra 5% damage for each of your unit types. So that is a quick walkthrough and breakdown of Solid Tactics. I don't think it's the most important tech tree to date. Well, it's not the most important tech tree to date, but it's not the worst either. And I would say, it's better than average when looking at the benefits you accrue versus the costs in attaining those benefits. It's very solid, useful, tangible progress for all of your legion types in most all scenarios. A lot of these techs have very broad application. They're all, it's heavy on the tactical. It does have the damage and the HP jumps in there. It's a good tech. It's worth giving some energy to. It's worth throwing some focus on. For me, right now, I finally, after 7-8 months, completed Faithful Guard. What a bear that one is, boy. But I feel really good having it done, and we'll be able to send 2 extra reinforcements to Allied castles in Eden, which is going to be huge. So I'm glad I did it, but it did kind of slow me down in some other tech areas, and right now I am still working on Dragon Blood Blessing. I'm about halfway through that. I will finish Dragon Blood Blessing most likely before I start going in real heavy on Solid Tactics, but I'll probably start Solid Tactics now and just kind of, go slowly with it here and there as I finish on Dragon Blood Blessing. But when I'm done with Dragon Blood Blessing in a couple months from now, I will most likely pivot to Solid Tactics next. I just like the sheer usefulness of this tech tree. There's really no frills and fluff in it at all. The only thing that I find somewhat not useful is the cost reduction for training T10s towards the bottom. That's the worst skills in there from my vantage. But everything else is very tangible, very useful. You're going to use it in almost all your combat situations, and we'll all be, better off having it. And the cost is not so onerous that it's just going to be a crawl to get anywhere there. So on the whole, it looks pretty good. Don't drop what you're doing to start it as a must right now, but certainly eye it and start picking away at it. And, when you're done chasing the most pressing tech that you're after right now, Solid Tactics is something you might want to consider strongly. So with that, I think I will wrap this video up and wish you lots of luck in preparing for X26. Strengthen those alliances up, talk to your state, do what you can to organize everything therein for the good of everybody in your state. Talk to your friends from out of state and just do everything you can to get ready, from improving your own castles to, communicating well and getting all your ducks in a row within your alliance before the next start. I will be back to making much more regular videos going forward, so please do point your friends towards the channel. Again, really exceedingly appreciative of all the kind words coming in from so many of you, both old friends and strangers, and it's really prompted me to get this next video out and to keep going strong with more going forward. So Big thanks from everybody here at the GoodMoFos. My personal thanks as well. Labor Day here for all you Americans. I hope you're having a nice, relaxing day, and for all our friends across the world, our best to all of you. So until next time, take good care, be well, cheers, and we'll see you on the next one. Please do remember to like, subscribe, comment, share on your Discord, your Viber. It all means a lot and makes a tremendous difference. So thanks so much. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.